Well, hello team. Let's try an example where we analyze a quadratic function and we circle the word in each sentence that corresponds to what the function is doing over the given interval. So the words are increasing, decreasing, or positive, negative. Let's start by graphing our function. So as you can see on this side, I've got my Desmos screen up and I'm going to go ahead and click to turn the function on. And the first interval they give us is -1 to 2. And it's x values. So I went ahead and typed that in, and you're going to notice that a window is going to appear that highlights a certain section of the x-axis. Ready? There we go. So it highlights the section between x is -1 and x is +2 because those are the endpoints of the interval. Your task is going to be to look at the function in between those two endpoints and ask yourself what is happening. So let's start with the words increasing and decreasing. If you were to trace this graph from left to right, are you going up or are you going down? Hopefully you said that you are going down. That implies that the y values are decreasing, so that is a decreasing interval. So let's come over here and let's circle the right answer. We would say the function is decreasing from -1 to 2. Like in that interval, it is decreasing. Okay, now let's talk about positive and negative. Same interval, but we're now talking about something different. We're talking about positive and negative. A positive interval is the interval for which the y values are positive. That's always going to be above the x-axis. Take a look. Anything in that blue shaded section could be in a positive interval. A negative interval is the opposite of that. It's below the x-axis and it's where the y values are negative. Take a look. Anything in that section would be considered in a negative interval. So what do you think? Is this one the black highlighted portion? The graph in between -1 and 2, is that in a positive interval or is that a negative interval? Well, I hope you're saying negative interval because the blue is overlapping. You don't actually have to put these inequalities into Desmos. You can kind of just get your eyes on the x-axis and ask yourself, is the black part above or below? So the part of the graph I'm looking at is definitely below, so we're going to say negative interval. So let's come to this side and let's circle negative. Altogether, we would say over the interval -1 to 2, the function is both decreasing and negative. Okay, let's take a look at another interval. So we're going to turn that one off, and we're going to turn the new one on. The new interval is 2 to 5. A new window appears. Let's find those endpoints here and here. Let's highlight the function, and as I highlight, I'm going to ask myself, am I increasing or decreasing? What do you think? I hope you said increasing because the y values are going up. I was definitely tracing, and as I was tracing, my finger was moving up. Okay, are we above the x-axis or below? Above or below? I would say we're still below, right? We're still underneath that x-axis. Remember, if you need to sketch it out, you can. But we're definitely still below, so this is, again, a negative interval. So we could say, over the interval 2 to 5, the function is both increasing and negative. All right, now let's take a look at one more example where the function is facing a different direction. All right, team, here is our new function. It's g of x, and I know it's going to be facing down because the a value is negative. So when I turn this on, I'm expecting a quadratic that is opening down like a frowny face. Let's see if we're right. Doot. Yep, definitely opening down like a frowny. Our first interval is from -1 to 3, so let's turn that on so we know where to look. The endpoints are here and here. So I need to be asking myself, what is happening to the function in between those two endpoints? As I traced it, my finger was moving down. The y values are moving down. So we would say the function is decreasing over this interval. How about positive or negative? let me get rid of my little increasing, decreasing marks. And positive, negative just means, is it above the y-axis? Like, are the y values all positive in the interval, or is it below where the y values are negative? Well, this time, this function is above. I think I might have said y-axis. I meant to say x-axis. We are above the x-axis. Every single one of those points has a positive y coordinate. So let's head over here to this side, and now we're going to say the function is positive over this interval. Now let's take a look at another interval. So I'm going to turn these off, and we're going to put our new interval on. And is this the right interval? Let me see. It should be -5 to -1. Let's turn that on. Okay, yes, -5 to -1. So I've got a new interval, which means I've got new endpoints. And let's start by talking about increasing or decreasing. If I were to trace this graph, am I going up or am I going down? I'm definitely going up, which implies that the y values are moving up or increasing, we'll say. So I need to change this word to be increasing, right there. And now let's talk about positive or negative. How about you tell me, what do you think? Is it going to be positive or negative in the interval? Positive or negative? Positive or negative? What do you think? I hope you said positive, because that graph in that section, in that interval, is definitely above the x-axis. And if you're not sure, highlight that x-axis and just ask yourself, is the graph above it or below? It's definitely above. So we could say that the function is increasing and positive over the interval -5 to -1. Okay? All right, one last thing to tell you is, what if you are not given the graph in Desmos? What if you just have to look at a graph? So here's the same exact problem, but let's say you're given the graph, but you don't have access to Desmos. So we're going to say no on the Desmos. Let's say you don't have it. What are you going to do then? What are you going to do then? So you're going to find your interval. In this case, it's -1 to 3, and you're going to imagine those vertical lines. Like Desmos put the vertical lines up, you're going to imagine them. So -1 is here on my x-axis, +3 is here, and let's draw or imagine some vertical lines here. These are not very pretty, these lines that I am drawing, but at least now I know that I'm talking about the graph from here down to here. Okay, so if you don't have access to Desmos, you're going to have to find the endpoints yourself by imagining those vertical lines and then going from there. I hope that helps explain this a little bit better. There's going to be some problems for you to try on your own, so good luck.